Is it home time already? But it usually Tuesday. Oh, the cat. I'm like, hey. Oh, yeah, you ready for her?
Well, I've got it set from 70, he said 70 hot.
Excuse me.
I said, are you hot or cold? So I told her, I have it down, I was gonna put it at 78. I said, I'll put it at 78, it'll cool down.
Everybody else here either.
But then, of course, I have to look at it. Turn it up. I got this caregiver who's showing up at 7 in the 80-degree.
That's exactly right. That's exactly. I heard last night he said, call me Larry, and call Cassie Larry. I thought he calls him Mr. Nasty.
He's busy doing it.
I know you talked to him yesterday.
I'm doing the phone call.
About an hour and a half, yeah, that sounds about
And you
right.
talked to Donovan yesterday, didn't you?
We talked a long time yesterday.
You said 6:15.
But Jamie too, Jamie too.
6:15 to 6:45.
I called you two yesterday too. Yeah. I called you 3 times yesterday. What you doing?
Yeah, I'm at work, I don't know.
You need to do it. It was 6:58. You used to get off time, mister.
You got supplement?
Is that you over there? Was that you?
What'd you say?
I had shampoo. I had that you played today.
Apples?
Apples, yes.
Of course, I didn't think about
What's the good sugar we can talk to us?
it. It went in.
Hard to say.
What is good mom dress for a young was right behind you there. As long as he was all right. She was right behind.
I'm ready to have a party.
Yes, sir.
Birthday party.
Yes, sir.
60 years in the making.
I agree. I do agree, sir.
Late Wednesday.
But we're gonna pay. Hey, where's your cake up there?
Good afternoon.
Hello, Robbie. Afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Hello, how are you doing, Mr. Mayor?
I'm doing good. I'm doing well.
Good, good, good.
Let's bring this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Morton?
Here.
Commissioner Connor?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cordell? Here. Commissioner Fowler?
Here.
Commissioner Moore?
Mayor White.
Here. Let's bow for invocation. Dear God, our Father, we do thank you for the many blessings today, even the very weather that is so delightful. Warm days, cool nights. We thank you for your concern and looking over us here in Ranlo, keeping us safe. We do pray, Lord, as we conduct business for the town, that your guidance would be with us. We would make decisions acceptable to you in Jesus' name. Amen. We have a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight.
I'll make that motion.
Katie, second. Jamie, seconds. All in favor? Doug?
Yes.
All right. Comments from the attendees, nobody? All right. New business is presentation of One Gaston 2040.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, and they have the slides before them tonight, we made copies of them, they could have them.
You do have those. I know I'm not gonna painstakingly walk through those, but you do have those in front of you. You also actually have, the vision book, which is completed, and you have this one-page handout that we may actually use more to talk from. I'm Gina Shell, and I'm with Gaston County, and I have with me Leslie Lee, who's the Executive Director of Gaston Together. We're here to talk with you about the vision that's been created for the entire county. I was in front of you all 2 or 2.5 years ago with a colleague, David Williams, from the county. And we were telling you that this was in the planning stages. We were sort of gearing up to create the vision. And you all very graciously supported our effort. And so first of all, I want to thank you for that, for supporting the work. And so we have been working on it since then, and it's now complete. We went out across the county and talked with, we've now talked with over 2,000 individuals. We had 70 sessions, some of those in person and some online. Of course, we were doing this during COVID, so we had to be creative. And when COVID was bad, we would either stop or we would start meeting online. But we also went out and met with a lot of people face to face. We had a steering committee that was made up of people from across the county, so it was a very diverse and active steering committee. And so what we've come up with, using what we've heard from all of those citizen engagement sessions, is this vision. We very much consider this a foundation or a springboard for future work. And so we're going to tell you a little bit tonight about where we are in terms of implementing this. We really see this as something that can propel collaboration among organizations and governments and faith communities and neighborhoods all across the county. We hope that we can come up with some common measures of success so that we can see how our county is moving forward toward what people want it to be in 2040. I'm going to turn it over to Leslie now, who's going to speak specifically about the content of the vision.
Yes. Thank you. I've never done a PowerPoint presentation verbally before, so forgive me if I'm looking at my phone. It's to keep me on track, to make sure I'm on the right page, so to speak. We're very excited about where we are with this vision. We have created a document which is truly a reference and a guide, and what we're hoping is that it is going to become part of the strategic planning for our county. Not just in the county level, but for organizations as they're looking at what they want to do as they're moving forward in their 1-year, 3-year, 5-year plans. And the reason why that's so important is all of this information didn't come from myself, from Gina, or from county officials. It came from the people that we are all serving. And all of those interactions helped us to get to a place where we could hear what they wanted us to hear. We weren't telling them what we were going to do. And so that to me is the most important part of what this is. This is a well-documented version of what we heard. Could this have been longer? Absolutely. Is it purposefully not longer? Absolutely. because we wanted to make sure that we were able to focus on what we heard. So this is what it offers us. We went about this in a very particular way. We had many conversations with people. We went back and listened to people who needed for us to come back again. And then we sometimes went back a third time to make sure that we were hearing what they were saying. Not all conversations were smooth, some of them were contentious. That is why we have such faith in what's in this document here. We also made sure that we didn't just conduct meetings at times that it was convenient for only some people. We had meetings at a variety of different times, and we also conducted them in both English and Spanish to make sure that we were covering our populations. So it is a very comprehensive document. To that, we ended up with some traits that became very important for us. A sense of belonging, making sure people feel welcome in Gaston County, whether they're a resident, a visitor, a potential business, or a potential resident. We want to honor our unique locales. Time and time again, we heard from people. We love our hometown feel. We love what our part of Gaston County represents, and we want to make sure that that is maintained and preserved. We want to make sure that happens also. A collaborative spirit. That's a huge part of what we have done with this vision. People and organizations need to join forces to come together and address our community challenges and leverage our benefits for growth. Make sure we have quality growth. We can't stop growth. Growth is here. It's not coming, it's here. But we can make sure that we maintain some edges around that growth and we don't lose our hometown feel. But we also have the investment for jobs and opportunities for the county to continue to grow. And then an inclusive opportunity. People want to be represented. They want to be seen. They want to know that their voice is not just heard, but represented in the people that are making their decisions. So from that, we ended up with 5 areas of focus. The first is One Gaston Cares. We want people to be healthy in their mind, body, and their spirit. Communities working together for quality of life. And within that, the objectives are collaboration and building coalitions, welcoming and valuing the diversity that we talked about, and promoting health and wellness in body, mind, and spirit. So those are very broad topics. One Gaston Connects. We have access to the internet and the ability to get around, whether it's by walking, biking, driving, using public transit. One thing that we learned during COVID and the pandemic is connectivity is key for every person in this county, every space in this county. It's how we are now living our lives and doing our business. We need to improve our mobility and connectivity and accessibility to that connectivity. We need to include how we can get from different places in the county. We have a bus system in Gastonia, but if you live in Gastonia and have the opportunity to have a job here in Ranlo or in Bessemer City, you have no way to get there unless you own a car. And enable our broadband internet access to be more comprehensive. One Gaston Works. We want to have great job opportunities and career opportunities. We want to be prepared and equipped to understand what goes into that and to succeed. But we also need to strengthen our childhood education and our availability of childcare for people who are experiencing these job opportunities. That's very important. We want to ready our students for their next success level. Whether it be a trade, whether it be college, we want to make sure that these opportunities are there. And strengthen and target our economic development. One Gaston Grows is our next category. We achieve quality growth and economic success by using our land and our resources wisely. We want to maximize our housing options. We want to make sure that we have housing available at all different price points and levels. We can improve the quality of our schools and bring teachers in, but if they can't afford to have a house in the area where they're teaching, we have defeated our purpose. We want to provide adequate infrastructure. We've all driven by the 200, 300, 400 houses that are being built on the land, but if the infrastructure is not there to support them, they become islands. Maintain our character and our natural amenities. And then the last category is truly my favorite. One Gaston Shines. We leverage our pride, we speak positively about perceptions, and we leverage arts and culture to make sure that everyone knows everything that Gaston County has to offer. So those are the areas that we're focusing on. And it is purposefully and primarily very broad topics, because what we don't want to do is then tell people what to do and how to do it. We want to bring people together. Many of these areas are already being looked at and worked on. It's time to get some people into the room, talk to each other, and see how we can help each other accomplish some of these items. We are now convening our focus area teams. We've done something a little different with these for the first time. We're having them be led by two different types of people. The first is a subject matter expert in each of these areas, someone who really has lived and worked experience in what we're addressing. And the other is a community champion. People who connect to the communities, people who can bring other people with ideas to the community to help us make sure that we're hearing the right voices continually as we go through this. 2040 is 17 years away. We need to make sure that all the voices there at this table are people who are going to be involved in this. I'll be honest, I don't think 17 years from now I'm going to come back and tell you how we did it. No. We are convening those teams now to begin the conversations. We have subject matter experts and champions in the community who are convened, who are now coming together and building out their teams. So if there's an area that you are interested in, or if you know of someone who might be an expert or have some knowledge in these areas and might be interested in being on this team, please let us know. This is where it is the opportunity for all of our voices to be heard. We also think that those teams will not be stagnant. It will not just be 10 or 15 people who are on a team for the entire length of it. As they start to address the different issues that they're talking about, they will start to change some of the team members out because it will become more and more particular. Ultimately, at the end of this, our goal is all of our teams will cross over. If you're working on works, how Gaston works, you're probably also concerned with transit because you can create jobs, but if people can't get to them, all you created is jobs. So at the end, all of these teams will be working in coordination with each other. So we have started to convene those teams. We had our first meeting of our leaders just last week. And we are now moving forward with starting to have those teams be populated. We will continue to help our teams bring our members together, and we will continue to keep our county updated on the different areas and how we're working. There's a lot of information that's been shared, and if you have any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer it.
Financing. Whose finances is a line item off the county budget?
No, sir, it is not. Initially, it was financed through both the county and the generous support of places like Ranlo and all of the different municipalities within Gaston County. There was also some foundation support. There was some private support. It will be continued to, Gaston Together is the convening entity to help this vision continue to move forward, along in partnership with the county. The county is helping us stand up something called a community hub, which will be an information gathering spot where our teams will be able to report what they're working on, as well as the community will have an opportunity to see the information that's being shared. And we're hoping as it is used more and more, it will become a go-to spot. So we're very grateful to the county for being able to do that for us and help us with that. But we will be seeking grants, and we will be looking at different ways that we can continue to move this forward. It's a long process.
So it's basically a think tank, getting ideas to submit to the leaders of Gaston County, basically.
To whomever the area, as they are looking at the different areas and they determine what actions they are going to suggest, those organizations, whether it's the county, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's a business, would then eventually be the person who helps to push that idea forward. In essence, I can't solve what's happening on Interstate 85, but there are some other people who can solve that.
Yeah.
So they would end up. But first it needs to be determined, what is the actual problem? What are the steps to the solution? What is the final product?
If we, people who may wanna join one of the teams, how do we, what information do we give them to get in touch?
We have our website, which is onegaston2040.com, also, which does have a copy of this on there to read. It's also on Gaston Together's website, and my email address is at the bottom, the back side of the bottom of this sheet, and that is the best way to contact if someone's interested, to please let me know, and we'll get them attached to the correct team that they're interested in.
I know many years ago, they were discussing a transportation hub up there or beside Tony's Ice Cream, that whole block.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed they purchased some of the property, but slowly, not much happening. They was talking about, there'll be a hub for, buses, trains, and of course, I think, express to, Charlotte, is also gonna be there.
Yeah, the hub that we're mentioning now is it's gonna be an online information hub.
Yes.
It's gonna be there'll be a data dashboard part of it, and then part of it where we can report out on what each of these teams is doing.
Oh, yeah.
And we also will be back in touch with Mr. Blanton, because the tool that we're standing up actually will provide, a potential license for municipalities, so that Ranlo could have its own dedicated part of that data dashboard, so that any data that's out there could feed up in a Ranlo specific sort of way. So we'll be back in touch on that.
And also the connectivity between the two, you could have something about Ranlo and then direct them to your website, to your town website, and vice versa, direct the town to the community hubs.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Any more
you.
questions from the board? We appreciate you coming out, spending some time with us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
All right. I'm assuming, neither one of y'all from the Honey Hunters, right? And I'm assuming you're not from the Honey Hunters.
Thank you, Ed.
So they must have canceled again on us?
We have not heard.
Okay. So we'll, we can go to, item 6 on new business, presentation of the town manager's budget message.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, as the Town of Ranlo's budget officer and town manager, I'm pleased to formally present for your consideration the manager and staff's recommended budget for the 23-24 fiscal year. The recommended budget is balanced at $4,823,500. The recommended budget consists of a general fund budget of $2,846,700, a utility fund budget of $1,796,800, a PAL bill fund of $120,000, and a stormwater fund of $60,000. The recommended budget provides for an estimated $50,423 in surplus in the general fund, a $58,015 surplus in the utility fund, and a $330 surplus in the stormwater fund. In a thorough and concentrated effort, the recommended budget was prepared amongst the town staff, coupled with direction and governing input from the Board of Commissioners. The board met on March 9th, April 13th, and May 4th to compile a budget that met the needs of the town's departments and that was compliant with directions from the North Carolina State Treasurer's Office. At the conclusion of these conversations, a robust budget was compiled, focusing on maintaining the operational needs of the town, maneuvering through challenging economic changes, and managing large-scale capital projects. Last year, I spoke to the importance of demonstrating a commitment to fiscal responsibility, conserving the town's resources, and continuing a stable path of economic growth. The latest audit for the previous fiscal year showed the town grew the fund balance for the utility fund by $433,696, and the fund balance for the general fund by $1,018,224. Within the fund balance for the general fund for the prior fiscal year, $584,491.11 is funding the town received under the American Rescue Act plan, which has been supplanted under the revenue replacement option from the United States Treasury. The recommended budget is based off the large successes and increased financial growth from the prior fiscal year's budget and prior fiscal year's audits. As you can see before you, the fund balance has grown from approximately 21% in fiscal year 20 to approximately 66% at the end of fiscal year 22. The recommended budget first seeks to ensure that the town is positioned to maintain the operational needs of our departments. This is the fourth budget that I have prepared and presented to the board, and for the first time, we are able to fund essential and necessary capital costs that have been delayed due to budgetary constraints. These expenditures include approximately $20,000 in the sanitation department for new garbage truck tires, $120,000 in the public works department to finance 3 new vehicles, $30,000 in the PAL bill fund to finance a new vehicle, and $20,000 in the police department to purchase and replace depreciated equipment. Also, to retain a quality workforce and attract exceptional talent, the recommended budget provides for an approximate overall budgeted salary increase of 11% from the prior fiscal year. This salary adjustment was adopted by the board in December of '22 and continues to be funded for the upcoming year. By funding these departmental requests and investing in our workforce, the recommended budget ensures that we have a skilled workforce and that our employees have the necessary tools to continue to provide stellar services to our residents. The recommended budget also has been drafted to maneuver through the current challenging economic changes. Rising costs of supplies, utilities, and equipment, coupled with the recent revaluation of property across Gaston County, creates unique issues that the recommended budget seeks to address. To address these issues, the recommended budget first provides for approximately $81,800 in additional funding across line items to confront inflated and increased costs ranging from fuel to insurance renewals. Furthermore, the general reappraisal of real property for the town occurs every 4 years, as has been decided by the Gaston County Board of Commissioners, and all property across the town is reappraised for the year 2023. Following a reappraisal, North Carolina General Statute 15911E requires units of local government to publish a revenue neutral rate in the budget. The valuation for real property within the town of Ranlo is projected to increase by an estimated 78.8%. The town's revenue neutral property tax rate is 33.83 cents per $100 of value. The recommended budget provides for a 45% property tax rate, which represents a decrease of 5 cents from the previous tax rate of 50 cents per $100 of value. By intentionally budgeting additional funds to address economic changes and to appropriately allocate funding based on the recent revaluation, the recommended budget seeks to responsibly provide appropriate resources for current and future needs, including upcoming water, sewer, and roadway capital improvement plans that total over $20 million for future funding needs. Lastly, the recommended budget funds the operational costs of the town, but also was drafted with the intent and mindfulness of managing numerous ongoing large-scale capital projects. Since 2021, the board has adopted 3 grant project ordinances. The first providing for $3,592,750 from a state capital improvement fund grant. This grant continues to fund the restoration of Boulder Court, the extension of Ranlo Avenue roadway, upfitting to the lodge, the community building, the town's 2 parks, and sidewalk repair. The second grant project ordinance provides for $3,367,300 from a North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality grant. This grant continues to fund the South Ranlo Waterline Replacement Project, the AMR Water Meter Replacement Project, and the Ranlo Avenue Waterline Extension Project. The last grant project ordinance provides for $1,168,982.22 from a grant received under the American Rescue Plan Act, which has been supplanted under the salary revenue replacement option from the United States Treasury. In conclusion, the recommended budget is balanced and prepared in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 15911. The recommended budget is based on a tax rate of 45 cents with no increase to water, sewer, garbage, or stormwater rates. Financial forecasting and revenue projections for the upcoming year are based on the findings of previous audits, the actual trends of the prior fiscal year, and annual projections by the North Carolina League of Municipalities, all of which continue to indicate overall growth and positive stability. The public hearing on this budget is scheduled to be held June 8th at the regular monthly meeting of the board at 7 p.m. here at Town Hall. Any person wishing to make comments or ask questions may do so at the public hearing prior to the adoption of the budget ordinance. The recommended budget will be available for public review at Town Hall during normal business hours and on the town's website. Notice of the availability of this document and scheduled public hearing will be published in the Gaston Gazette in the upcoming days. It's with the sincerest gratitude and appreciation that I, as Budget Officer and Town Manager, respectfully submit and recommend this proposed budget to the Ranlo Board of Commissioners today, May 11, 2023. I appreciate the board's support, the input that you all gave, and certainly the assistance of our Finance Director, Sarah Rowan, in compiling these numbers and putting these figures together, as well as our department heads that worked very hard to ensure that we had accurate quotes, good information, and thorough There's no formal action needed on this tonight, Mr. Mayor. As I said, we will be having a public hearing June 8th, but I'm glad to answer any questions or address any concerns that the board may have.
You answered my question before I got to ask it. I was gonna ask if it was gonna be on the website.
Oh, yes, please.
Next item on the agenda is town manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It has been an incredibly busy few weeks around the town. Boulder Court is open after 8 months of construction. We are finally able to say that we have the road, we have the infrastructure fixed, the roadway has been paved, going all the way to the unfinished parts of Allegheny. So the road is finally open. Certainly appreciate the public's patience as we have worked through this very complex and difficult project that has lasted a little over 8 months now, and that has totaled over $1 million that we've been able to fund through part of a direct allocation we got from the General Assembly. So certainly thanks to our contractors, certainly thanks to our Public Works Director, our Public Works team, our engineers, our sites, spotters that have been out there throughout the entire process. I'm very, very pleased with the progress and very glad that we were able to undertake that. Work at the park continues to go well with the concrete being poured under the picnic pavilion this week, and we had another meeting with our recreation contractor in the morning to go over some final design. So we are excited about that. Public Works has done a phenomenal, exceptional job assisting in that project as well. So as I said, it's a very incredibly busy time, but I feel like we're making great progress on a multitude of these projects. Also, we will be closed. Town Hall will be closed on May 29th for Memorial Day. There will be a one-day delay in residential garbage pickup, but we will certainly work hard that week to ensure that everyone's trash is picked up. I want to certainly thank Maylo United Methodist Church. They allowed us to have our senior adult brunch bingo there last Friday. We had a little over 50 people, good turnout, good time, and certainly appreciate the church's hospitality. Lastly, I do want to make note that our finance director will be graduating tomorrow with her master's degree in public administration. Sarah started the program shortly after she began here with us in 21, and she will be concluding tomorrow. So we certainly want to recognize that and the great job that she does for us. That is all I have tonight in regards to a formal report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, is the splash pad going to open on Memorial Day weekend?
It may be a bit delayed depending on when we can get the playground equipment in. If not Memorial Day, we're aiming for early June to be able to get that portion of the park finished so that we can get the splash pad up and going to go in phases for the day.
The lodge is.
I was at the lodge last Wednesday for quite some time with our engineers that are finalizing the final 2 reports that we need. I spoke to the general contractor on Monday. They have concluded all that they need to finalize for the permit. We're just waiting for the final ADA life safety plan and the life safety plan and the ADA accessibility plan. So the engineers made their final site visit last Wednesday, and I hope within the next couple of weeks to have those concluded to resubmit to the county. Still hoping that by July 1 it will be finished.
On Boulder Court, are we gonna put speed bumps on? Cause, it's really smooth and that's
Right.
really scary.
Right. Public Works Director reached out yesterday to the contractor that we used to install speed bumps to get a quote on how much it's going to cost. They were recommending anywhere from 2 to 3. Jason and I were out there late yesterday afternoon. We intend and hope to, unless there's any objection from the board, to put speed bumps there. It's just going to be challenging to find the correct place, the right place to put it, given the proximity to the driveways with people backing in and backing out. So we're going to have the contractor come out likely next week and identify some spots.
Does residents on that street want speed bumps?
I've heard that time and time again as I've been out there over the past 8 months. That's been one of the most common concerns have been voiced, that they certainly want speed bumps through there. There was numerous requests for them prior to the rehabilitation of the road, but I have not heard from anyone that did not. A lot of people, residents have been very open and vocal about what they would like to see through there over the last 8 months. And again, they've been great. The majority of people have been very patient, understanding, and good to work with throughout that area. So yes, I think there's an overwhelming consensus that that's what they would like.
Even when the road was a mess, people still sped through there 35, 40 miles an hour. And
Right.
my kid plays out there,
Right.
neighbors' kids play out there. It's not safe.
Lots of children do that, and that's something that I've really been, I guess, surprised by the past few months, the amount of children
I think as the summer gets warm and hot, and I'm at work down in Mechanical and stuff, I'm not around here. So I don't know how the police patrols the residents, but they need to concentrate on the community more when the hot weather, cause kids is out, and like Katie said, drivers tend to speed and everything else, so we control, so it can be controlled.
And we have brought on a reserve officer that, we have assigned that sole responsibility of sitting and watching and controlling traffic throughout the four portions of town. But we'll certainly keep an eye and make sure we have additional police patrolling in the warm months.
I would like to see if maybe we can do a listing in the flyers that come in the bills. You know, you put the flyers in, listing all the different food banks, including like the Meal on Wheels information, since the kids will be out and eating more in the summertime. I think it'd be good if we could include a listing of food banks and information about the Meals on Wheels, so that they can have access to that, without actually paying to print it out.
I know that typically, the elementary schools and some of the middle and high schools also have free programs where you can go through and you can pick up lunches for your kids.
Do they do that?
They have them.
I'll reach out.
During
to
the
you.
pandemic, I know they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the only time Natalie's been in school, so that's the only time I've known about it, but I
Yeah.
hope they do continue it, because it's.
Yeah, that's really good, yeah.
Do we have
I don't know about
do we have
that.
anyone that could distribute, food, the brown bags? I think that's what they usually do in the summertime, they have to have a point of distribution. I know we used to have a recreation director that Leah,
Right.
she would distribute, the brown bag lunches at 12 o'clock, they would drop them off each day.
I can reach out to Gaston County and see if we can be a site and ensure that we have that coordination to be able to deliver that. So it's like they would drop off the brown bags, Mr. Mayor, and then they'd be distributed here in town.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to Gaston County and see what the plans are for this summer, because I'm sure that they do have some type of, plan in place to ensure that, kids that need food in the summer have that accessibility.
Wasn't much, but the kids enjoyed it, they waited on it. All right.
And another thing I'd like to bring up, Juneteenth. I thought that it would be a nice idea if we could do something, but I noticed on the calendar that there's something already for that Friday, there's a movie, hot dogs and a movie or something in the park.
There's gonna be a band in the movie June 23rd.
But I must have looked at my calendar wrong.
No, I believe that's correct.
Okay.
June 23rd is Friday.
Because I thought it'd be good if we did something at the Garden Park. We've been planning doing something at the Garden Park for the last 7 years.
Well, we could officially open it.
Well,
We
it's-
never really did.
It was never rededicated. It was
Rededicated.
never rededicated back to the family. But it's my understanding that we're gonna have some repairs done out there.
Right.
So maybe it's something I need to wait until it's ADA compliant and all that is done? Or is there a possibility that we could, as inexpensive as possible, do a little something out? You know what I'm saying? Or just,
Right.
I don't know.
I think we certainly will plan to do a large grand reopening when everything is finished at both of our parks. As far as Garden, if we were looking at Juneteenth, I think by then we will be in a pretty good phase of the construction for the renovations. If we wanted to do a groundbreaking of sorts for the renovations that we're doing, that could be something that we could aim to do on, if you all would like on Juneteenth, to have just a ribbon cutting announcement about what's going on here, letting the community know the upgrades that are coming, and then showcasing a history of the park. If that's something you guys would like to see, we can certainly get staff and work on that and have a groundbreaking of sorts, and then a ribbon cutting later on. Is that okay?
That sounds great. other comments from the commission? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second, all in favor? Okay, that's what was waiting on, the meeting's adjourned.
Just in time, Tom, look at there, Matthew.
It's, you don't go home now.
You got here just in time.
I think he used it.
Here tomorrow.
I seen you on the transfer Tuesday.
I've almost. Oh, yeah, she's not good tomorrow. Graduation's at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Actual graduation?
Graduation tomorrow at 3. And she's going to be sworn in as a notary public tomorrow morning as well.
Busy day.
Busy day.
Aren't you excited? That's great, that is great. How's the professor doing here?
Getting there.
Oh, her.
Working on my last paper. Almost done with it.
Are you still going to London?
I think it would be alright. 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
You going by yourself? Or just with the staff?
Municipality, different content.
No, I'm going on my own. I'm meeting one of my professors there. So she'll be there for
I know, I
a couple
had an
weeks.
individual
They'll
meet me
overlap.
one time.
I thought you said 3 months, I was supposed to say, damn,
They told her not to wear
okay,
high
she'll be
heels, but
okay.
she's still going
Yeah,
to
I said, now you'll be,
There is her
you'll be
demise.
sad when mom
No,
gone.
trail
she'll be
blazing.
all
My
grown up.
brother,
Fine, go,
my
Ron.
brother went over there for the coronation.
I think we should live stream it on the.
I think you should wear.
See, the good thing,
Like, Rob,
Yeah.
gosh.
it's a good thing.